scheduled council meeting of the Park City Council on February 13th at 2018 at 7 p.m. Jack, can you call the roll?
John Lanier.
Here.
George Glover.
Here.
Ben
Salcetta. Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Melvin Kerr.
Here.
Tom Jones.
Here.
George Capps.
Here.
Brandy Bailey.
Here.
Jim Schrader is not in attendance.
Okay, tonight, Ben Salcetta is going to lead in the invocation, and Councilman George Glover is going to lead in the pledge. Everybody, please stand.
Let's pray here.
Cheers, John.
Dear Heavenly Father, we want to come to you this evening. We want to say thank you for another beautiful day that you've given us of life. And now as we come together here as citizens of this great city, we ask for your wisdom and your direction and all the decisions that need to be made here tonight. And that, Lord, you just guide our thoughts, guide our words, that you be pleasing to you. And then, Lord, also be with those that have been struggling with sickness. It's good to see George back here, but continue to give him strength. Be with Jack as he's been sick here. Just ask that you touch them, keep them safe. And again, those that haven't been sick, keep them from getting sick, we'd ask. Bless again tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Jack,
Yes, sir.
I need to find out if Daniela has what I need to continue on with the agenda.
Yes, just a second.
Tonight, John Haas is here to talk about the temporary notes, Series 2018-1. We need to add that to the agenda as item A1, if there would be a motion. Brandy?
I make a motion we add John Haas to the agenda as item A1.
And that would be the discussion of the temporary note, Series 2018, with bond counsel. Tom?
I'd second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. We don't have anything for awards or presentations this evening. And for public forum, Steve Brown, you're signed up. Go ahead, Steve.
It's always a little odd talking about the 4th of July in the middle of February. However, it's 4.5 months away. So I just want to do our usual, we need all the volunteers we can get. So if you're at home watching this or watching it online, YouTube, wherever you see it at, be sure to check out our website, www.parkcityks4th.com. We need all the volunteers we can get. This year we've got our parade. We need volunteers for it. We've got the car show. Bob's not here tonight to represent himself, but it's his 18th year. He's got over 100 cars. This year we've got live and local talent from Park City. We've been trying, if you've got talent, you're in Park City, I'd love to hear from you. Go on the website, drop me an email. We've already got 1 or 2 local performers, so it's going to be pretty cool. We've got a country act for the concert this year. I've had a lot of people ask me for that for the last 3 or 4 years, and it just hasn't worked out. Well, this year it has, so everybody who said they wanted to hear country, be there, and pretty much everything else will go on like usual. If you've never been to one of our committee meetings, if you've got any interest in joining us in running the event, we're at the Best Western at 53rd and 135, the second Tuesday of every month, or I'm sorry, second Thursday rather of every month. I did have one favor to ask of the council whenever you get a chance. We're trying to round up a few more food trucks this year, and I was wondering if I could get the city at some point to waive our fee on the food trucks, the $100 permit fee. That's pretty much all I've got. Does anybody have any questions? Or
Steve, you just want to go through the website and your contact information, and if anybody wanted to get a hold of you.
Sure. Our website is www.parkcityks4th.com. Our phone number is 448-5766, and then there's a menu that'll take you to the person for whatever event you're calling about. And if you want to drop us an email or, start getting ready for the parade, get your entry in, our email address is P.O. Box 233, Keeksai, Kansas 67067. And that's July Events Team, Inc. is our
Okay.
501 name.
Brandy?
Steve had mentioned that maybe he'd like the council to discuss waiving fees for food trucks. Is that something we could add to the agenda tonight and have a quick discussion?
Not since the agenda's already been approved. Steve, if you just told me, we'd have got that on the agenda for you. We can add this next time. It's not a crunch right now.
The fees have dropped. They're not $100 anymore. Didn't they go down to 10?
Yeah, but what we can do is we can add it to the next agenda,
Okay.
and we can discuss it then.
Yep, fair enough. No hurry. I mean, we're 4.5 months to go, so thank everybody for their time.
Wait, there are a couple other questions.
Sure.
John?
She asked my question.
Okay. Ben?
Sure, I would just want to just say thank you for the work that you've done in the years past, but also encourage anyone out there in the community to go out and get involved. I think we got a great program going on.
Yeah,
So-
we've had a local church this year. They've added to our event, and we've had other people ask about adding events. And our biggest issue, I know I've had a softball tournament brought up. We're a little tight on parking for that, but if we ever get a little bit more parking there, we'd be interested in doing that too.
And to the food truck part there, your goal, I know we're going to bring it up, but just so we get it ahead, you're looking at bringing multiple in, is that what you're?
Yeah, we're trying to get as many food trucks in as we can in the area behind the stage so people have choices. And, we pull, pretty close to 1,000 people day and 1,000 people night in. So, we think it'd be, profitable for them and us.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it.
Have a good evening.
Danielle, is John Haas? I've already got that. Is he coming? Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda is staff reports, and we'll start with our building inspector, Bob Walker. Bob?
Good evening, council and mayor. I'm Bob Walker, the building inspector at Park City. These are the year-end numbers and results of last year's activity in the building inspection department. We issued a total of 314 permits throughout the year. Out of those 314, 34 single families permits were issued, and we issued 4 duplexes, which would have been a total of 42 units, of family units. That's a 25% increase from last year, from 2016. We issued 32 in 2016. We took in approximately $136,550 from permit fees and licensing fees. At the moment, I have 3 commercial projects that are going on, and one of the projects that just finished up is the Taco Bell. They had a complete interior remodel and exterior redone, and at the same time, they upgraded their ADA requirements for the restrooms, which is a feature that we'd like to get done to bring that up to more than ADA compliance. The other one is the Air Capital Warehouse. That project there, if you see the covering from the exterior, that's 50% of that project, which is about 250,000 square feet. We're hoping to issue a final on that, what we call Suite A part of the unit, so he can start using that to utilize for storage. The other end is the other 50%, which is another 250,000 square feet, and that should approximately be done in about 3 months. This is really fast-tracked. I had a lot of cooperation with a lot of people on this, especially the city administrator, and Jack and I worked with him to move this project along because it was really had a time crunch, and they had a lot of issues with the weather. So those guys worked a lot of late nights and a lot of weekends to get it this far along. The other project I have going on is what's called the insurance auction facility going in on North Broadway. And actually that's a 9,000 square foot facility, which is a pretty good sized building, but when you compare it to the warehouse, it kind of doesn't really do it justice. But that project there is about 70% up far along, and it'll be probably looking for an occupancy permit here in about 60 days. And that's pretty well what I have for this evening. Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Bob?
Right?
George?
Yeah,
George?
Mr. Walker, I'm encouraged by what's going on right now as far as Taco Bell looks super compared to what it looked like. So I go in there a lot, so I'm encouraged by that, but just the other things that are happening here, things that are going up, so I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Tom?
I was going to say, on both these buildings, when they first started discussing building this one, they were talking about making the front of it nice looking. And I don't know how it's going to end up. I know there's going to be a fence across the front of there to block out the back and stuff. But I don't know, how's the plan changed? Is that what we're going to see from Broadway?
Yeah, there was nothing in the.
There was screening when they were talking, when they first
Yeah,
started
the
presenting.
back part was screened, the front part was not.
Okay, and then the same thing with the buildings up on 135. They're not dressed up at all along the interstate. And I understand they're industrial buildings and stuff, but
It's not required by our zoning regulations. If they're not joining a residential property, they do not have to do any special screening or anything.
I'm just talking about it just looks quarter of a mile steel building, you know, not cleaned up at all, so. And then you got the old Hayes building next door that was real nice looking, and
The Hayes building had
The
corporate
facade.
offices in it. It was
Right.
total different. This is just totally storage.
okay.
Okay.
That's something we may want to look at in the future.
Okay?
All right, thank you. Not seeing any further questions, and we'll move on to our Senior Center Director, Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm just here to give another year-end report for 2017. So as of the end of the year in 2017, the Senior Center had 678 active members. So, and those are just what was recorded. I believe it's probably a little bit more than that. It's hard to catch everybody, as we all know. We are categorized as a Senior Center Level 2 by Sedgwick County, funding-wise. And in 2017, we met all of our requirements for a Senior Center Level 2. And we also met all the requirements for the next level of funding, which is Multipurpose Center Level 1. So we have met that for 2 years in a row now, so that makes us at least eligible to apply for the increased funding now, which I plan to do this year. So we will see how that pans out. So active membership was down in 2017 from 2016, but our duplicated attendance actually was increased. So I've mentioned this before, but that basically means that we had less people visit the Senior Center at least one time, but those who did visit visited more often. So I see that as a positive thing for sure. And a couple of our programs, just some numbers that I have. In 2017, through our volunteer transportation program, we provided 332 rides over the year, and those were rides given to at least 10 seniors in the community, seniors who aren't able to transport themselves. So we have seniors that volunteer their time to drive. Also, our meals program through Aging Projects, we served over 7,000 meals last year in 2017, and that includes our congregate meals at the Senior Center and also our Meals on Wheels program. And we do deliver Meals on Wheels to Park City, Valley Center, Keachai, and Bel Air. Looking into 2018, we've already had some fun things going on. We had belly dancing lessons in January, which were a lot of fun. I think the ladies really enjoyed it. We also have already had a few outings with our Senior Center van to Coco Dolce and to a movie matinee at the Warren. And it's starting to become a busy time at the Senior Center for the next couple months because it's tax season, and every year we provide the AARP tax aid that began last week. I still have appointments available, but we are booked until mid-March, so if anyone needs that tax assistance that's available to anyone, please give me a call. or stop by the senior center and I can get an appointment scheduled. And then coming up, we just have a few things planned for the future so far. One of my goals for 2018 is to make the senior center an even more welcoming place. So I'm working with some of my seniors to establish kind of a welcome committee or a welcome team to help ensure that anybody who walks through the door feels welcome and would like to come back, regardless of what age you are or who you are, what background you have. Coming into a new environment with new people is always intimidating. So that's what I would like to do coming up. And we also have a medication management workshop at the end of March. We partner with KU School of Pharmacy. We've done this a couple of times, but their pharmacy students come out to the senior center to provide information on medication, whether that be drug interactions. They go over your list of meds with each of the seniors, and they also provide different screenings and tests such as blood sugar levels, bone density, that sort of thing. And that will be on Saturday, March 31st. That's all I have for you now. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, Ben?
Sure. First off, I want to say thank you for all your work down there at the senior center. I know for many of our residents, that's such an important part of their lives is the activities and the events that go on, and then of course the Meals on Wheels there. Question I had concerning, you talked about the welcoming committee or putting together something along that. As far as when new residents move to Park City, do you all have, is there a process of sort of reaching out to them? Do you get like a new move-in list or anything like that?
No, we do not, but that would definitely be something to discuss. I'm planning to kind of have a brainstorming session with some of my seniors who are willing to be a part of this team, and that would definitely be something to bring up.
Well, I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Not seeing any further questions. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Okay. That was all we had for staff reports this evening, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion? John?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
And Melvin?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. The next item, item A1 under new business, is to review the bids on the temporary notes. Once we review that, there would be two action items, one to accept the lowest bid, and the next would be to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of those notes. John Haas is here this evening to present that.
Good evening, John Haas with Ransom Financial Consultants, and I have a resolution. My wife asked me where I was going tonight because she dresses me, needs to know what time I need to leave. I asked her if she wanted any fried pies, and she said yes, 2 apples, 2 blackberries, and 2 cherries, and then I saw they had a pecan. So I know you're gonna be upset that I didn't bring them in, but I need to take care of her. 11 o'clock today, we had bids for $366,000 worth of temporary notes. These notes is the initial funding for the Trail Ridge 3rd edition. Prairie Hills, I'm sorry. No matter how I try to memorize that. For water and sewer improvements, you'll see on the handout that we provided to you that we received 4 bids. The lowest bid was from Commerce Bank with a true interest cost of 2.1696%. And at the end of the day, the total interest cost was about $700 more than we had estimated, but short-term rates, I've been looking at treasuries 6 months ago, and treasuries are up about 100 basis points or a full 1% since about 6 months ago. So short-term rates are going up. Good news is the long-term rates seem to remain stable. Any questions about the bids that were received?
Not seeing any.
Okay. So again, the action, as the mayor had stated, is that There is a bid that the mayor will sign for Commerce Bank at the true interest cost of 2.1696%. And then after that bid is approved, then there's a resolution for your consideration for the issuance for the temporary notes, authorizes the issuance of notes for them. Closing is on about March 1st. So funds will be delivered and can be then spent for the project.
Brandy?
I was just gonna make a motion to accept the low bid from Commerce Bank with a true interest cost of 2.1696%.
Okay, is there a second? Melvin?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. The next item is the resolution. Did anybody have any questions over the resolution? Is there a recommendation? Ben?
Sure, I'd make a motion that we go ahead and approve the resolution there as presented.
Okay, is there a second? George?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Not seeing any. Daniela, would you call the roll?
John Hunter.
Aye.
George Glover.
Aye.
Ben Sosita.
Aye.
Melvin Kerr.
Aye.
Tom Jones.
Aye.
George Capps.
Aye.
Brandy Bailey.
Aye.
And that resolution passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Try the Tex-Mex too. Right, pie.
Another thing besides pies there.
Yeah.
All right, that brings us to item A, which is consider an ordinance annexing property located north of 61st Street North and west of the Wichita Valley Center floodway. Doug?
Jack might start out with the background of it, then I'll give you a short
Okay,
on the legality and the ordinance.
Jack?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up in your screen, you'll see an area marked off in red. This is on the north side of 61st Street, bordering the west edge of the Valley Center flood control. And it stops just short of the railroad track there at Seneca Street. Lou Rebelli, been working with Lou on possibilities of bringing other businesses into the area. That particular piece of property is in the floodplain currently. He's doing a study to determine how much dirt he's going to have to bring in to get it out of the floodplain. It'd probably end up similar to what the auto auction people did. They'll probably dig a pond, take the dirt, and fill the land. And of course, they have to get DWR permits for that. Lou has a couple of options that we've been playing around with him. One is a housing area, and two is some more industrial properties. He's going to shoot some elevations, get a plan kind of put together, and then we'll start looking at his suggestions for platting of the property. It depends on where the market is if he thinks that it's probably best served as industrial property versus residential. In order for us to look at what he's wanting to do there and how he might want to plat it and everything, I suggested to him that if he wanted our input, that he needed to be within the city of Park City city limits. And so he graciously said, certainly I would, and you have the paperwork here tonight where he has signed off on permitting us to annex him.
Yeah, Doug?
Yes, for those of you that have been around for prior annexation, the one thing that's kind of left to cities that still works for annexation is when a property owner comes and says, I want to be in your city, and that's what's happened here, and that's the statutory reference in Section 1 of the ordinance. Mr. Rebelli signed a petition That's been recorded with the Sedgwick County Register of Deeds, and all that's required tonight to bring that in effective on Thursday when this ordinance gets published would be for you to approve the ordinance tonight.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Is there a recommendation from the council? John?
Make a motion, we approve an ordinance annexing property located at north of 61st Street and west of the Valley Center floodway. Item A.
Okay, Ben?
Second.
All right, Tom, did you have anything you want to? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. Daniela, would you call the roll?
John Leonard.
Aye.
George Glover.
Aye.
Ben Sosita.
Aye.
Melvin Kerr.
Aye.
Tom Jones.
Aye.
George Capps.
Aye.
Brandy Bailey.
Aye.
And that ordinance passes 7-0.
That is ordinance 1040-2018.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to item B, which is consider authorizing 190 coupons for the trash disposal in lieu of the 2018 citywide cleanup day. Dana?
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for once again considering this program. Jack, could I get that PowerPoint for this, please? I just want to give you just a little bit of a review on this program, just a little bit of history, abbreviated because we've been participating in this program now for the past 3 years. Historically, we have had a Park City-wide cleanup day. It's been approved by the council for the third Saturday in April. It had included previously the disposal of trash, brush, and limb. There was conflict in the park because we have really got a great program that's going with our youth baseball now and a lot of things going on in the park. And so in 2015, we didn't have any place to have this program. So the mayor asked us to look at offering a coupon program that would be similar to kind of what you see by Sedgwick County. There are times throughout the year that they will have coupons that are available for residents of Sedgwick County to go to we call it the dump, is what people know it as, but to dispose of their trash. So we will continue to have the brush and limb cleanup day, but not the trash disposal. That's what we've done. So for 2018, that would be April 21st. So this is kind of a visual of what our residents will receive as a coupon where they can go and they can dump at their convenience. That's one of the positive pieces of this program. For the past 3 years, 2015, 2016, and 2017, the council approved for 175 coupons to be distributed. What was redeemed in 2015 was 150, in 2016, 84 were redeemed, and in 2017, 91 were redeemed. They're available first come, first serve. A lot of people will pick up those coupons. This is very similar to the county as well, and they say each year that they will actually distribute more coupons because they know that people want to have the opportunity to utilize those coupons, but a lot of times they're not redeemed. So the cost to the city. Each year in our contract with Waste Management for those 3 years, Waste Management provided 45 coupons as part of that contract. 175 coupons, once again, were approved by the council. The cost per coupon was $32 because that was what the price was for people to go, was $32. So the total exposure to the city if all the coupons have been redeemed would have been $4,160. In 2015, therefore, the city paid for 105 coupons for $3,360. 2016, 39 coupons for 1,248 coupons. And in 2017, the city paid for $1,472 worth of coupons. We, as you know, as a council, have just approved a new contract with Waste Connection, and they have provided within this new contract 15 additional coupons for a total of 60. In addition to that, the cost of the transfer station has increased. It's gone up to $34+. They are going to honor for the city $32, so that will stay constant. So therefore, the city can increase the distribution of coupons to 190 with no additional financial exposure to the city. So therefore, I would answer any questions if you have them. And once again, we are happy to have you consider this.
Brandy?
Dana, this is a good program. I like this. I know we use it personally, but have we ever looked at what a price would be where some residents might not have the means to get a coupon and load it into a vehicle to take it to the dump, or maybe we could have a curbside pickup one year for some bulky stuff, just so that way maybe everybody can get their stuff disposed of?
We have not done that. That would be at the direction of the council. If you would like for us to consider that, we certainly would do that.
Okay. I think maybe in future years, maybe we could look at, maybe every few years or something, we could do one where it was a curbside. Just something to look at. That's it.
Okay. George?
Yeah, I think this is a really good benefit to the city. I know we've done it before in the park, but for me, it's about convenience and when I can go. I like the idea. I would think more people would use the coupons than what we actually have here. So I think it's a good program, and I think for your guys' decision to go ahead and keep it going. So I'll make a motion just to go ahead and approve the 190 coupons for trash disposal in lieu of 2018 citywide cleanup day.
John, did you want a second for discussion?
I do have a second. I had a comment to make, and I'm sorry, you may have covered this a little bit. I was reading through this. This is the spring, which you were talking about, is during the baseball season, which works well. But the fall one, they still do the limb day at the park.
The brush and limb day is still done. In addition, we still do the brush and limb.
Yeah.
Both times. Both times.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Ben?
Concerning, just looking at that, so we had, in 15, we had 105 that were utilized coupons, and then it's just kind of dropped, and I guess it's picked up a little bit in 17. What ways do we use to advertise for citizens as far as knowing those are available?
The first year, we actually mailed things to residents. We will put a notification on the water bills that go out. It's on the, sometimes we put it on the sign, but it is limited to Park City residents only. It will be on Facebook, it will be on Twitter, it will be on the website. We don't have any problem with people knowing about those coupons. And in 2016, they were all distributed by 5/13, and in 2017, it was, I think, about 6/14.
So we're just seeing a decrease, basically, in those that they get them, but they just don't use them. Is that basically what's happening?
Which also is what has been expressed by Talk to Susan at the county, and every year they actually will increase the numbers because they see the same thing. And once we have exhausted our coupons here at the city, if someone calls, what we do is we ask them to look on the county website to see when the county is providing coupons.
Okay. Well, I think it's a great program, and I hope more people will use it this coming year if we improve.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is item C, which is considered a new pay plan at a cost totaling approximately $170,504 to be paid out of the 2018 General Fund Personnel Contingency, the 2018 Special Street and Highway Personnel Line, and the 2018 Utility Fund Personnel Line to be effective on February 18th, 2018 for the March 18th pay cycle. As you all remember, we had a meeting over health insurance, where my goal was how could we quit sending the big insurance companies big checks that have been costing our employees, and how can we get more money into our employees' pockets. Part of that, we came up with two plans. where there was a Wesley only option, where an employee could sign up for the Wesley only option and actually receive an extra $100 because of the savings that we see per month. When employees bid on that, about 60% of the employees jumped over to the Wesley only option. What we saw in savings, can you go back to my insurance savings? So what the council did was we approved that new insurance. That saved us $246,000. At that time, what we did was we put that into an employee contingency fund where that could be spent to put back into employee pockets. And what we did was we kind of earmarked $100,000 as what we were going to look at in pay raises and in a salary study. I'm going to come back to that, but if you look at the 246 and then underneath it where it says the health insurance true up, that additional $50,000 is what was saved with employees going to the Wesley only option. That's additional savings to the city, which gives us $296,580 of additional savings that we have in employee contingency that we can use. What I'm proposing will cost the city $170,000 of that 296, which still puts $126,000 back in carryover, because that was one of the goals too, was how can we get back to where we have some carryover. So when we look at ongoing, how can we pay for this? We pay for this out of the savings of the health insurance. What the city was already paying, but we were paying to health insurance companies, we're now pulled back on, and then we're going to put that back into employees' pockets, because it's important for those people to have money that they can do things with, put food on the table. It helps with their retirement. It's good to put more money back into our employees' pockets. So I'm going to be asking this evening for 170 instead of the 100,000 that we originally talked to. And I kind of want to cover the last time a pay study was done was in 2008. And since that time, in 2008, there was a 3% pay raise given. In 2009, there was a 3% pay raise given. In 2010, there was a 3% pay raise given. And then in 2011, we didn't have money for pay raises, and we ended up doing a $1,000 bonus for everybody. In 2012, we did a reduction in workforce where we had to lay people off. Once again, we didn't have money for any type of pay raises or incentives. 2013, there was no pay raise. In 2014, we did a 3%. 2015, no pay raise. 2016, a 3% pay increase. 2017, we didn't do anything either. So the last few years, it's kind of been every other year. There's been talk about trying to do a pay study. And in the past, that's kind of been put off because why do a pay study if you don't have funds to fund it? We made a correction with what we were doing in health insurance, which has now freed up funds to where we could do this. And I told you at that time, we'd get a pay study done, and I'd get something back to you by the end of February where we could come back and give employees pay raises. So, Dana, do you want to talk about the pay study for me?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. Once again, we knew that this was a time-sensitive looking forward on the pay study. December was not a good month to do any kind of a pay study because of the holidays, so we took advantage at that point, and what we did is we reviewed online information that would have been available for places like Wichita, Sedgwick County, and also I reviewed on a regular basis the listings that were open on HRE Partners, on KPOA, which is police-oriented, City Code Financial, LKM, any place that I could look at that, and I kept that information available. So after the holidays, after New Year's was over, our goal was to get a pay study out there. What we did is I contacted each of the cities that we were going to send this to personally, made sure that I had the correct information as far as the HR people, let them know it was coming. Then once we sent it out online, I did follow-up calls and I did follow-up emails as well, and we had a really good turnout on this survey. What we did is that we sent it to cities that we typically had sent previously. We added a couple of cities to the mix. And how we have selected the cities in the past, and some of the council members have been on those pay studies previously, is we have selected cities that were similar to Park City in size, they're in the area. They are the cities that typically we would be competing with to get employees on board. Those cities were Andover, Augusta, Bel Air, Derby, El Dorado, Hayesville, Mays, Mulvane, Newton, Wellington, Winfield, Valley Center, and we added Goddard and Hutchinson to the mix. We were very happy that we received responses from 12 of those cities. What we did when we sent the study, it wasn't as complex as some in the past, which I know George is probably sitting there, how in the world did you get this back in this amount of time? Sure. We abbreviated that. We had a goal to get the appropriate information. We knew we had to get accurate information from cities. So what we asked them for was their pay ranges. On the survey, we listed all of our positions. We asked for their pay ranges. And we asked for the last person that was hired into the position. And the reason we did that is because we were trying to determine, are they actually hiring off of what their pay range looks like? Or are they like us, who they have not updated their pay salary, their pay ranges for a period of time, and they're having to step up from that bottom range. So we were trying to determine, are the ranges accurate? And we also asked them for their pay ranges or their pay plan as well. So we got that information. We took that information, and then Jack is going to talk in a little bit about what he did, because he was our number guy, and he put all that information together and he tabulated all of the results. So we had all of the pay ranges of all the cities, and we had all of the information on those positions as far as what they said they hired in on. In addition to those cities, we know that we have to compete heavily with Wichita and Sedgwick County for police positions. So we enlisted the assistance of our chief and asked if he could gather the information that we needed from those cities, and then they provided that information to us. So we did have a lot of really good information to put together for this area. So then the members of the committee reviewed this data. The members of the committee were, of course, our mayor. The council members that were on the committee were Tom Jones, Brandy Bailey. And then the staff representatives on the committee were myself for HR, Daniela Rivas, Director of Finance, and Jack Whitson, our city administrator. The committee met with the understanding that the city pay plan is a real key component to recruiting and retaining employees here at the city. We need a quality workforce, and we have to be competitive. And what we have found in the last hirings that we've done for a period of time, that it is very difficult to compete when your wages are underneath where they need to be on that plan. The goal was to ensure that the plan was fair to all of our employees, that we maintained internal equity between the jobs within the city, and that we didn't have any compression issues within departments. And as you know, that we previously had gone through an exercise when we needed to hire police officers. We knew we were underneath where we needed to be, so we raised that wage for police officer 1. So for example, we had not gone through and raised those other wages within the department. And what we had to ensure is that there wasn't compression within that. Then we also had to look at individuals and where we placed individuals, because there were two things that we were really doing here. We were adjusting the pay ranges, and then we had to see how our individual staff fell within that. For the individual staff purposes, the council members were not included in that because we were talking about individuals, where they fit in. So what we're looking at for the council to look at tonight is what do those pay ranges look like and where you go from that point. So do you want Jack now to
Jack,
discuss
would you go
the
ahead
numbers?
and cover putting together the spreadsheet?
Well, I'll kind of glance it at you. These are 11 by 17s. A lot of numbers. And so I basically took the data that was given to me from Dana that was submitted to the city and set up a spreadsheet and entered those numbers into the spreadsheet. We actually ended up with 12 cities that covered everything, and then at the end, we added Wichita and Sedgwick County for police officers in addition to the other 12. Because they are within our area that we would have to compete with police officers. So we couldn't just leave Wichita and Sedgwick County out of the mix. So they're included in these ranges that you have here likewise. Basically, all I did was I put the numbers in according to the columns and the positions, and then mathematically, I came up with the average, which is this orange column here, which set the pay range of the survey.
Okay. Brandy or Tom, what you got to?
I'd like to say we went through and looked at this. As we looked through this, there were some areas on the survey that we thought might be a little bit light, or in some cases might have been a little heavy. So we adjusted those for the actual job description that we have, along with looking at history of hiring. It's been problematic in the past to get people to apply for a job, and it's just not sit at the window and take information and hand it off to somebody else. You have to sit there and make decisions, stuff like that. So we actually looked at those jobs and adjusted those pays accordingly. Pretty much followed the recommendation of the survey, or the results of the survey as it came out, other than a few items in there. You'll see those.
Okay. Brandy, did you have anything you want to add?
I just think with us sitting down there and looking at each of the survey versus what our current pay range was, it was obvious that every one of our positions fell underneath where the average of the cities around us fell. And so we, like Tom said, we just went by each position and just looked and adjusted it. Most of them fall to the beginning of the survey, just so it makes ourselves competitive, but then some just based on the position or the type of work that they're doing, the position description, it did get increased a little bit more, or we lowered it maybe 50 cents or something compared to what the survey showed. But I think with this pay range that we've come up with, I think it's going to make us really competitive and hopefully get some good people applying and being able to stay with the city, because now we're offering a pay that will compete with some of these other cities around us.
Okay, Tom?
And I'd like to say that I think if you look through the pay scale, that the bottom scale on all the old current Park City list and the new proposed, bringing them up into the survey, pretty much everybody gets compensated. A lot of money being spread out here, so.
Yeah, but my overall goal was, how could we quit giving more money to the health insurance company and put more money into our employees' pocket? We came up with a great health insurance plan that still mitigated the out-of-pocket expense for the employee, and then we should come back and implement this pay plan, and it is significant. There's going to be a lot of happy people, and you look at the tax codes changing, some of the tax rates. I mean, this is going to be a good year for our employees. Ben?
Yeah, so we're asking for $170,000 for this new pay plan, and we have the proposed pay ranges. Is that for starting employees, or what is that doing with our current employees? How is this $170 being allocated out through here? I mean, is it just...
That's what we just talked about, was $170,000 keeps us from having compression within the pay scale and puts people that are currently in here within an area of that pay scale.
So if they're, and I guess my question, if they already fall within the proposed pay range area as far as their pay is currently, are they going to see an increase?
Everybody will see. an
Everybody,
increase.
okay, that's what my question is there. So this will be a starting point then? from here on out as well.
There are a couple examples of where somebody is in an introductory period, and that would not apply to them because they are eligible for a pay raise once they're out of that. But overall, this entire plan, there would be a raise.
And in addition to that, if I could just say to the council and the mayor as well, is every year we do employee evaluations. If there is an employee who has not reached a satisfactory level, then the practice would be to go on a performance improvement plan. So until such time as someone is at that level, then they would not receive an increase. And in addition, like the mayor said, there are people who are in their introductory period, so they would absolutely be brought up to the bottom of that pay range, but then they would need to complete their introductory period.
Oh. And this, you know, if you take the time and just kind of, you know, start skimming through this right now, and there's been a little chatter about upset that this didn't go out, and I'm just going to explain that right now. This is a significant pay raise that if I would have put in the packet, potentially employees would have seen. And if you don't approve it, it's pretty much a slap in the face. So this is for you here to look at, to take your time and look over. It is the last item on the agenda. There were three things here to discuss. We can talk about this for 3 hours, or we can talk about it for 30 minutes. But once you approve this pay plan, we're going to put it in action. You know, I came back and told you what I was going to do, and now I'm punting the ball back in your court. I'm bringing a plan back to you for you to approve to give the employees a pay raise. And that $170,000, I will say, Jack, can you go to the next slide? That's the one we've already went through, Jack, the one that you put up the first time. It's glitching on me. I want to show you a little bit of the breakdown. So the actual, you had it there and then you changed it. So the actual cost for the pay plan and increases is $130,000, but the cost of benefits is another $39,000. So payroll taxes, capers, retirement plans, that also adds to it, which builds that to the $170,000. So I want to make sure you guys understand that $130,000 is proposed pay plan and increases. The cost of benefits is something that is attributed to the $130,000 that brings us to the $170,000. John?
I'm sorry, you said this a while ago, but I wasn't ready to write. And can you tell me what the raises were that you said were given over the past, since, I think you said 08?
Since 08, so 08, 09, 010, we did 3% pay increases. 2011, we did a $1,000 bonus. 2012, we did a reduction in the workforce. 2013, there was no raise. 2014, there was a 3% increase. 2015, there was no raise. 2016, there was a 3% pay increase. And 2017, there was no pay increase. Now, we did adjust the police department in 2016. So, but I'm very happy with this. I think this is going to help attract and hire some quality people for us, and it's going to take care of the people that we currently have that are doing a good job. John, did you have more?
Yeah, percentage-wise, and I'm sorry, it's kind of off the cuff, but is there an average percentage that we came up with on what was given out, or do we know really? I know that's kind of just because of the way you did the steps, but.
I have some percentages if you have something specific that you want to, did you want to ask?
I'm just wondering what the average, the overall average percentage of that is given out in this. What is, I know it's a pretty vague question, but.
Okay, so we have to talk in general terms because we can't talk about individual people. So if somebody asks a question, I do have a few numbers that I can share with you. I'll just start with a couple of things that I had Daniela pull together for me. The average increase for a department head or a manager is 8.05%. The average increase for an employee is 12.65%.
That's what I was wanting to know. Thank you.
Okay. Was that it?
Go ahead and keep going if you want. but
Okay.
That's what I was getting at. Thank you.
Average increase for a department head is 5%. Average increase for a supervisor is 12%. The average increase for an employee, 12.65%.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Tom?
We have two things we're addressing here too. We've got the proposed ranges, and then we discussed a pay raise on top of that. So are we addressing both of those tonight? Because I didn't see the final numbers.
To implement the pay plan,
Right.
it would cost $170,000.
Okay. Total.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I just want to get that out so it's clear.
Okay. George?
Yeah, I know we originally, before, we gave the department heads a pretty good bump. I don't remember what year that was. I know we talked about, in order to keep those folks, we need to give them that bump. The $170,000, this is a one-time thing, so next year there'll be no pay raises forward?
There'll be no pay raises if you don't approve any.
Okay, so this is 130, you said, to fix for all these raises we're wanting to give the folks.
For this year, to put this pay plan in place and to run it going forward.
We'll need.
So if you want to do something in 2018, when we sit down and do the budget, then we will have to put money aside for additional pay raises.
Thank you.
This just brings us current for the last 10 years. And then we going forward through budgeting, you know, and the one thing that always comes back is we've had this cap put on us that keeps us from having additional funds. We have the additional funds here because of the savings that we saw within the health insurance. That was a benefit of the employee. I wanted to make sure that we had something in carryover because we also need to improve carryover. We need to improve our financial backbone and where we're at, our cash balance. This does both. Out of that $296,000, we're going to give $170,000 towards employees, and the city's going to put back $126,000 in carryover that's going to add to our balance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ben?
Currently, full-time employees there, how many do we have? Sorry.
47.
We're at about 46.
46
right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And I would just say, I mean, since I've lived here, I've slept peacefully at night thanks to the protection of our police officers. I've been able to drive on our roads safely and been able to enjoy the parks and different things because of our city public works department. And I've got my bills on time from the city administration staff over the years I've been here. And so that said, I think our employees are definitely deserving of a raise that it will help compensate them adequately. So.
Okay. George?
Well, yeah, I'm impressed by this, and Dan is right. I didn't think you could do this. I really didn't. And Mayor, I got to compliment you and apologize to you, because last fall I was giving you a hard time on this, and you did exactly what you said you was going to do, and I compliment you, and I think this is a great deal.
Thank you, George.
Thank everybody involved.
Okay. Tom?
I was going to make a motion, we accept the proposed pay range, but I noticed you've got some more buttons. Do we need to let somebody else talk first?
Yeah, somebody can always second for discussion.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the proposed pay ranges.
At a cost of $170,000 to be allocated as presented in the agenda.
Correct.
Okay. John, did you want a second for discussion?
I did want a second, yes, and have a discussion.
Okay.
I guess, and I'll echo what George said, and I just want to say I appreciate the way this was done and not one person throwing it together or trying to move a mountain overnight. It was a committee of people that threw their minds together and made it happen. So thank you to the staff, and thank you for the council members that served on that, and the mayor, of course. Thank you.
I just want to say, you guys really have no idea how many hours were spent on this. I know Dana has plenty of time wrapped up in this. Jack has plenty of time getting stuff into it. When we met together, it's the first time we were here late on a Friday night working, and then we had to walk away so we could come back with some clear numbers. We spent another long evening after we spent some more time in between working on things. I appreciate the hard work and the long hours that we spent with the team putting this together, because it was a team effort. So we have a motion and a second. Go ahead.
To throw just something out there, in addition to the hard work, and I didn't realize that we were going to get into the motion part there. I'd like to see us, because we do have some left over, and plus if we're looking forward to making sure that there's money available in our budget moving forward, I'd like to see us consider even a one-time bonus for all of our employees. $500, $1,000 bonus, but I know we're past the motion part, but just throwing that out there, I think that's something that they deserve there as well. They've lived under and the healthcare plan is great. The pay plan is great. I don't have a problem with any of those, but they've also been in a couple months in limbo here since the new healthcare plan. So if we have the money available, I think it'd be worth it to them.
I would say we need to remain fiscally responsible as well. This is $170,000 that we're going to put back in employees. If we don't improve our carryover balance, then you're going to have a hard time finding a pay raise next year. And we once again, the trend with health insurance is it goes up every year. This pay plan and what we're doing, and we're looking at an average increase for an employee of 12.65, is pretty good.
I think it's a great pay plan, and if we have it available, that's fine. If we don't, that's fine as well.
Okay. John?
I guess as a second, I'm not against what Ben said. What do you have a funding source? I mean, where?
But we still have $126,000 left in this employee contingency area there. If we have 46 employees there, even if you did, and I understand the point of fiscal and leaving over carryover. If you did 1,000, that's $46,000. Drops it down to 70. They're about a little over 70. If you do 500, that obviously leaves us right about 100,000 still in that contingency fund, which is still a pretty good carryover balance. So that was my thought. I know it's not a large amount. We're not talking about giving them a new car or anything like that, but we are giving them an option there, saying, hey, you know what, 8 years we've forgone you. We're giving you a raise. I understand that, but here's something a little extra.
Here's something that I think I can entertain on that. What if we brought back something for a Christmas bonus towards the end of the year? Because typically we do $60. What if we look at or bring back potentially doing a Christmas bonus in December that would be more than what we have currently done?
I think that'd be great.
Because the 170 is based off a 12-month time frame. We're already 1 month into it, so there's still a little savings. And we can see if there are any other insurance changes throughout the year. But it's still important to see where we end the year. I mean, we can't just, we need to be wise with what we're doing.
And that was my thought, is I just feel like later in the year, we kind of can better forecast what the end of the year is going to look like. And I mean, you see what your carry forward is going to look like and stuff like that. So that would, I guess, be something that made me nervous about doing it this early. But okay, thank you.
Okay. Tom?
I was just going to say, we're trying to swallow this pill still, and we've got funding for it. Need to sit through a budget process once before you start handing out raises. Because that's real interesting, because you'd be surprised how much you can do with $5,000 in a budget. So we got roads and lots of different things that we've been ignoring too. So not that it doesn't sound good and probably isn't justified. We just need to pull back on that for a little while.
Thanks, Tom. Ben?
Sure, and I would just say this is money that we've already allocated for employee benefits, so it's not taking from highways or roads or anything. In this case, it's something that's already been allocated for them. And I do understand fiscal responsibility, and I appreciate the mayor bringing that up as far as maybe looking at Christmas bonuses. I'm all in favor of that, but like I said, this is money already been allocated for that, not for roads or anything.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0. We appreciate that, and we're going to put that in play immediately. So our employees are going to start seeing the benefits of this pay increase. Thank you, Dana.
Could we have a formal motion on the pay plan, please? Approved, because you put that in, is it all included, the new pay plan going forward and the money? Okay.
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
That's it for this evening. That was a pretty good chunk for tonight's council meeting. I do want to say Ben contacted me the other day about he's gotten with the state treasurer about using the council chambers on March 7th from 1 to 3 for an unclaimed property event for the citizens of Park City. You know, if you want to add anything to that.
Sure. We're just ironing out the details, but it'll be something open to the public there for residents of Park City. Something that started several years ago with our state treasurer, then Ron Estes. They did an unclaimed property events throughout the state there, all 105 counties, and spoke with the state treasurer a couple months ago, and they had expressed interest in coming to Park City and doing something, so we're able to use the facility here on March 7th there. So I encourage citizens to come out. I mean, make sure you bring a driver's license, prove who you are. That way you can claim your property, but they'll have everything set up here. They'll have their own stuff, so I would encourage people to take advantage of that.
All right. Brandy?
I don't have anything tonight.
George?
I'd like to say thank you to the mayor, city council, staff, and the employees of the city. Everyone that give me their nice sentiments and prayers during the difficult time I went through, and it's just much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, George. It's good to have you back.
Yep.
It's good to be back.
Tom?
He sounds a lot better than he did last time I talked to him about a week and a half ago, too. I got a couple things tonight I'd like to mention. North Junction, something we've been pushing to try to get reworked for 6 or 7 years now. KDOT's jumped on board on a freight committee. The freight associations jumped on board. The Wichita area Chamber of Commerce is on board, and they've gotten the mayor of Wichita's attention, so he's pushing it. He discussed it yesterday in Washington, I guess. So there may be some activity. The problem is they're going to look for private funding on some of this stuff too, I think. So, but maybe we can get something going. The Meridian to Broadway is going to start within the year, widening that, doing bridges and stuff, getting ready for the second phase, which will be a dedicated entrance ramp to K96 off of 235. And then there'll be another entrance ramp that comes down so you can get on 235. So you'll literally be able to go from West Wichita and get on 96 without getting on 35 in the future. So that's supposed to be starting within the next year. One other thing I wanted to talk about is I had an opportunity to listen to 2 individuals from the U.S. Deputy Sheriff's Association, which is here in town. I didn't know they existed. They do training, survival training, any kind of police training they do. They also give stuff away. They will not do any kind of firearms or anything like that, but belts, safety equipment, shields, vests, anything, they're free. All you gotta do is ask them for it. Have to have a request from the police department signed by city administrator. They also come out and do training, or you can go to their facility and do training. They have it set up so that you can go in day or nighttime situation, going into buildings and stuff. You can go into school type scenarios. They do car stops, all types, training. I got both of them's cards, and I got a little flyer on them here I'm gonna give the chief. But the city administrator has to sign it. So if we got any requests, they could save us a lot of money. I told them we spent quite a bit of money in the last few months on shields and stuff, and we're always looking for vests. So, but anyway, we need to give them a call.
Okay. Owen?
I have nothing.
Ben?
I do want to wish my wife a very happy Valentine's Day tomorrow.
George?
Yeah, I also wanted to piggyback off that and wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. Our Park City Fishing Derby's coming up. I know it's early, but we're planning it now. This will be our 10th anniversary. I still can't believe that. We started this in 2008, so I wanted to thank all the volunteers that had come out and all the people that have supported it and the business that have supported it. I also like to say on the tax aid thing, I've used that here before. It's a great benefit, especially for seniors or people that don't have access to a computer to do their actual taxes, as well as the Meals on Wheels. I know a lot of people benefit from that, especially the elderly people. So if anybody needs to take advantage of that, elderly, please contact the Senior Center and find out how to sign up. Thank you.
John, before I get to you, Jack, got a comment?
Yes, this building won the Kansas Contractors Association's Award for Excellence. So I thought I'd let you know that.
Yeah. And one more thing before I get to you, sorry. JP Wygan called me today. They're going to I'm going to try to meet with them tomorrow. We have an offer coming on the building. So I'm supposed to meet with them tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have some good news. John?
I can't top that, so I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Is there a second? George?
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes 7-0.